Hi everyone, I'm Matt Toombs and welcome to the first episode of Cheltenham Spiel. There are a number of hour-long shows looking at the racing week as a whole. The idea of Cheltenham Spiel is different, to provide bite-sized punting pointers in less than 10 minutes. I'm a big believer that one of the best ways to get an edge at the festival is to understand the inherent nature of races, how they tend to be run, which sorts of horses and form lines therefore get over and under bet. This first episode uses the three big races at Fairyhouse on Sunday as examples, how I think you should be interpreting form with Cheltenham in mind. Other episodes will focus on underbet factors of betting at the festival generally or specific festival races and how I think they're misunderstood by the market. The feature on Sunday is the Hatton's Grace, so 2 Mile 4, which is the classic sort of race that punters tend to misunderstand, especially in the context of it being a guide to the Cheltenham Festival. Many make the assumption that it'll be a test of stamina, probably run on testing winter ground. So in the context of Cheltenham, it'll be a stayers hurdle trial. In fact, 4 of the last 10 renewals were run on soft ground, but 3 with good in the official description. With the ground on Wednesday yielding and the forecast for showers rather than heavy rain, it looks as if there may well be a sound surface this weekend. Fairyhouse is a sharp track and they tend to go quickly in the Hatton's Grace. It's not a race for stayers as they can't keep up, even though it's run on the outer track these days. Subsequent results at Cheltenham demonstrate this. 20 runners from the Hatton's Grace have contested the Champion Hurdle this century, 6 have won. The 6 Hatton's Grace winners that ran in the Champion Hurdle finished 2-1-1, 6-1-1. You'd have nearly trebled your money backing them at SP. Win or lose here, don't be sucked into thinking this isn't as good a prep for Lossiemouth for the Champion Hurdle as the Moor Guiana or the Matheson. It is. By contrast, 36 runners from the Hatton's Grace, including 9 winners, have contested the Stayers Hurdle this century, and until 2 seasons ago they'd all been beaten. The speedy types that contest the Hatton's Grace often don't get home in the Stayers. That changed with Cider Burley in the 2023 Stayers, but he was never able to go the gallop and was tailed off at Fairyhouse. That just reinforced my theory. But last season was different. Chihupu beat Impere Pass, who ran decently against Stateman on his next 2 runs and won the Grade 1 Aintree Hurdle over 2 Mile 4 in the spring. Chihupu had the pace to beat the sort of really fast horse that normally wins the Hatton's Grace. Yet Chihupu was also able to win the Stayers Hurdle, and that adds the overall impression that he's a cut above typical Stayers Hurdle winners. He could be in the process of becoming a great stayer. Looking at the races he'll contest this season, firstly the Hatton's Grace, he's a fast horse, he can go a gallop that will test Lossiemouth's stamina in a way that it hasn't been in steadily run mares Grade 1s. Now, once you've got a handle on the inherent nature of races, it's important not to simply back horses blind that look best suited to the test. Normally, if a Champion Hurdle favourite was taking on a Stayers Hurdle favourite in the Hatton's Grace, I'd be all over the Champion Hurdle horse, given the test of speed at Fairyhouse. Chihupu's different class, and as a horse that goes so well fresh, I'm expecting him to run the finish out of Lossiemouth, the more likely of the 2 to come on for the run. Secondly, when lining up against Chihupu in the Stayers Hurdle in March, the best chance to get him beaten be to make it an end-to-end gallop. The other stayers don't want to be taking him on for speed. There were other reasons for his 2023 Stayers defeat, but it was at a strong gallop, especially mid-race, taxed his stamina, finishing speed was below 100%. By contrast to the 2024 Stayers, they went very steadily, finishing speed 108%, second highest of the meeting. Chihupu predictably had far too much toe for his opposition. He's only going to run in the Hatton's Grace beforehand. There's a good chance he'll be pretty short in March. When you're deciding whether he's a banker or blowout at the festival, it'd be even more important than usual to look at the likely pace of the race. If you're going to oppose the top-notch Chihupu, you need to be confident that the 2025 Stayers will be a true test. May well be a good race for in-running punters. Chihupu looks exceptional. Few horses have the speed for the Hatton's Grace and the stamina for a Stayers Hurdle. That doesn't mean Lossiemouth won't beat Chihupu. She absolutely might. But don't give up on Lossiemouth as a Champion Hurdle horse if she runs a good race in defeat on Sunday. On the same card, the graded novice races are the Royal Bond Novice Hurdle and the Drinmore Novice Chase, although they're semi-intermediate races now. The Drinmore, run over 2 Miles 4, is one of the best examples of the punting maxim that the best novice in the autumn is not necessarily going to be the best novice in the spring. Since its inception as a Grade 1 in 1994, 18 of the 30 Drinmore winners have run at the festival. They've all been beaten. However, whilst the best novice in the spring often wasn't the best novice in the autumn, they often ran in the best autumn novice races. 7 of the 59 horses beaten in the Drimmoor that ran at the festival won, 6 of them in level weights novice chases. Punters are quick to dismiss novices beaten in graded races at this time of year as not being good enough for the festival. In fact, the top staying novice chasers are often running over intermediate trips in the autumn, sometimes getting beaten by speedier types who are also sharper at this stage of the season. History suggests you should be keeping an eye on the beaten horses in the Drimmoor. This is Gordon Elliott's time of year, as well as anti-post even money favourite Firefox. Gordon may also run Croke Park, who's around a 10-1 chance. The Drimmoor looks likely to prove too sharp a test for Croke Park, but it should be excellent experience en route to a tilt at the Broadway, for which he's a 50-1 in a wide open anti-post market. When jump racing was primarily a winter sport, the Royal Bond, run over 2 miles, was arguably the most prestigious novice hurdle run in Ireland all season, and a natural target for the best speedy novices. Jumps racing is much more of a spring sport now, with Willie Mullins in particular often not having run his best novices in their maidens in time to contest the Royal Bond. But despite this, the Royal Bond continues to be an excellent guide to the festival. It's produced 9 winners of the 3 Grade 1 novice hurdles at Cheltenham this century. 4 of those 9 came from the last 8 Royal Bonds. Such recent record as a festival guide's even better. No novice hurdle other than the Brave Inker at DRF has produced more festival winners. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that the best novices can't be out yet. As with the Drimmoor, there's an element of the best novice in the autumn not always being the best in the spring, and only 4 of those 9 festival winners won the Royal Bond. Many punters see it simply as a trial for the Supreme, but that misunderstands the inherent nature of the novice hurdles at the festival. The nature of the Supreme, starting downhill, adrenaline flowing through the jockey's arms into the horses, the traditional roar, all combine to typically make it strongly run and so a test of stamina at the trip. By contrast, the Bearing Bingham over 2 mile 5, this season the Turner's novice hurdle, starts in the hush of the centre of the course, big sweeping bend before the runners get onto the racecourse proper, and a hurdle comes up quickly when they do. In consequence, it's typically steadily run, and so tests of speed at the trip. And therefore, rather than simply being a Supreme trial, the 4 Royal Bond winners that have followed up at the festival this century evenly split between the Supreme and Turners, and Istabraq won the latter as well in '97. After an interrupted prep, possibly going on the worst of the ground up the inside at the business end of the bumper, I thought Romeo Coolio was the one to take out of the race for hurdling. He looks an exciting prospect. If he wins here as I hope, then he'd be a contender for either the Supreme or the Turners. That said, Gordon's trainer, who tends to form a plan with which festival race his novices will run in, and unless they're Jigginsdown horses where O'Leary may overrule him, he tends to stick to plan A. So far the vibes have been that he sees Romeo Coolio as a Supreme horse. May well be worth listening to what Gordon has to say afterwards if he wins, but the Royal Bond is a great trial for both races. Finally, it's also worth keeping an eye on trials for the wrong race. This stage of the season, a few horses that turn out to be top-class novices, but thorough stayers, run in races like the Royal Bond. Trainers know they have a good prospect, not all together sure yet what trip. In the attritional Albert Bartlett, experience from a long season, taking in graded races early on, can be a big plus. When you're watching the Royal Bond, you're probably not looking for Albert Bartlett contenders, but of the 6 Royal Bond runners that contested it, 2 have won, SPs of 16 and 33-1. At the start of the season, Gordon anticipated that Romeo and Coolio and the Yellow Clay would be his best speedy novice hurdling prospects, while Chalon Duderi and Wingmen would be his top staying novices. The distance they've been campaigned over so far don't necessarily reflect that, but Wingmen has entered here, and it may be he'll be seen to better effect over further in the spring. So I hope you enjoy what looks to be a cracking weekend's racing. Hopefully I've given you a few pointers in terms of interpreting the form for Cheltenham. If there are specific festival punting factors you'd like covered, please do get in touch on the YouTube site or via Twitter X where I'm at the Spieler, and I'll be back soon with more Cheltenham Spiel.